These are a few kind of cool, unique things that you can try out on your own. So here's an example of a statistics page that we used. You might have already seen this tactic many times before in different spaces. It's one that works. It still works to this day. It just depends on the given niche that you're in and how creative you can get with it. So the key here to a good statistics page is actually owning most of the stats within the page itself. So one big mistake we see with stats pages is they just tend to be a roundup of like stats from basically your competitors or indirect competitors in the space. And you might get some good quality links to your general page here, but a lot of those links are going to go directly to the sources that you cite on the page. So it can be helpful. It could be counterintuitive to a certain extent. So you want to make sure that you own a lot of the stats on the page there. And that's why we do that digital PR study previously, right? Like we have all this cool data now that we can put into these statistic pages. We can reference in our own content. Again, it just helps compound those results from a link building perspective. Secondarily here, we want to ignore typically keyword volumes again from tools. So if you look at like link building statistics as a keyword, there's really not much search volume around that. You'd probably glance over that and be like, probably not worth it, right? Like there's not much going on there. But again, this is just something we posted there, included our own data, and you can see the results for itself, right? 553 referring domains, 890 links. These are from really, really, really good quality sites. So there's clearly folks searching for stuff like that within your niche. If you're thinking about statistics in that space, it's probably likely that other people are. So just going to see what already exists out there and what sort of unique spin can you put on it. Really cool way to do things. If someone's already covered something broad like content marketing statistics, maybe go a little bit more narrow and say content marketing statistics for, like hospitals or, a different sort of niche or firm, anything like that that you can kind of put a spin on. Podcasting is another really interesting way to sort of scale some link building. It's kind of hit or miss, but has a really big potential for what we call like a double win, in the sense that obviously podcasting on its own, if you can get on a great podcast, is just good brand awareness, good brand building, et cetera, for your personal brand, for your company. But you also might get sort of a guest profile on a given site, which is a really cool kind of secondary benefit there. Usually this is going to have link back to you. It's not necessarily super contextual within an article, but again, this is not an open submission either. So you're kind of towing that line, so to speak, between a really good quality link and one that's maybe a little more submission based. But again, this is usually a really good double win here. So if you can do more podcasts in your space, another cool way to research this ahead of time is just look at some of those potential podcast, subjects in your space or the folks that are hosting them, and just see if they do create these sort of guest profiles for folks that go on. It's a great way to sort of pre-qualify or disqualify folks that you want to do a podcast from if you're thinking of it more from a link building angle. One thing to note here is that it's a little bit less reliable for the followed link side of things. So if you're looking for only followed links and you don't want something to be marked no followed, this can be hit or miss. But again, we're fans of no follow links anyways. We've seen them work pretty well. So we'd recommend just going in it from that branded perspective. And if you get that double win, hey, you get a double win. Another one here is going to be sort of what we touched on through the majority of this, right? Like building relationships as a whole. This is really where your best links are going to come from because they take a long time to build, right? We're talking relationships with folks that have access to really good, really large sites. They create great content in their space. This is stuff where you're providing some sort of mutual beneficial value, and you're not just spamming folks and asking them to place a link for you or saying, hey, this resource could be helpful for this article on your site. It's like, we've all seen those. We're not going to take the time out of our day, 99% of the time, to update those. So we want to come in this with a little bit more of a relationship building standpoint. And again, that's going to be the best long-term focus here for you. There are ways, obviously, to just kind of spray and pray your email campaigns here and hope you get some links. But again, long-term, it's just not going to have as much of an impact as it will be on focusing on those relationships. So really identify those in your space and cultivate those long-term by providing them some cool value, like we did earlier with the kind of subject matter expert interviews, all those sorts of things. So that's kind of the wrap up. That's the main other link building tactics that you can use to scale. So hopefully some of that was interesting and didn't drone on for too long.